Chapter 3 Blood on the Boulevard. Joseph was one of the nicest people you would ever want to meet. He never told people no even if it inconvenienced him to assist them with something. He was usually quiet and stayed to himself unless he was at a social event where he would open up a little bit. He also always ignored anyone who would attempt to slight him. Some would even describe him as meek. Nevertheless, he was a hard-working man who never bothered anyone. He often told stories of his past and how he was bullied a lot in school due to his extremely quiet nature. Joseph stated the kids at school would call him mute, a wuss, and even ask him if he was deaf and dumb. He would just ignore them and continue to play alone as he preferred to do. Growing up as an only child, Joseph was fine with playing by himself and using his imagination, a behavior that encouraged him to be very creative, but more of a loner, even in adulthood. He was always exceptionally shy, but the extreme shyness had begun to more and more impede on his social development. It caused him to become an outcast, have low self-esteem, feel lonely, and he even showed signs of depression. However, he tried to become more social by going to a few work events, but he would still find himself not as involved as he preferred to be. This transferred into his dating life. Joseph would see a girl he admired and wanted to get to know better, but would always be too nervous to say anything. He would just stare at her, and when she looked over, he would sheepishly turn his head away, feeling embarrassed that he was caught watching her. Of course, this got him nowhere with the ladies. Joseph was now 40 years old, had never been married, never had children, and pretty much never had an actual relationship. His only socialization with women was coworkers and friends of the family. Everyone realized that he was socially awkward and usually kept their distance. Not realizing this exacerbated the situation, however, he did have more communication and socialization skills with his family, but it never ventured out further than those relatives. Joseph was really bothered and dejected about this and even went to see a therapist. She had him complete homework assignments to help open him up more, and they even delved deep into his history to see if there was anything there that could be causing the problem. There was no childhood trauma or abuse, it was just extreme shyness that he never broke out of that became worse over the years. She diagnosed him with severe anxiety disorder and prescribed him medication. Joseph reported to his therapist that the medication made him feel drowsy and numb, so he ceased taking it. Eventually, Joseph became worse. He felt there was no hope since his therapist could not help him feel better as he thought she should have been able to do. His co-workers did not make the situation better by keeping their distance, and his family he felt treated him like they felt sorry for him, which Joseph despised. His mother would make suggestions of things for him to do, but he felt at 40, as much as he loved his mother, and as much as he knew she was only trying to help, he should not be following her direction for his social and dating life. Today was the day. Joseph had convinced himself that his quality of life was descending, and he saw no improvement in sight. He decided there was no point of being among the living if he would always feel completely emotionless and socially disconnected. Joseph purchased a nice hotel room on the top floor with a beautiful balcony view over the city for the evening, kept the sliding glass door open for the fresh breeze that was coming through, watched a few of his favorite television shows, and called his mother to tell her he loved her and that he would see her soon. He then went to the far end of his hotel room and ran as fast as he could until he jumped straight off of the balcony. He fell from the 19th floor to his death, which landed him on the street in front of the hotel called the Boulevard. When Joseph told his mother he would see her soon, little did she know at that time, he meant when they meet up in the afterlife. Words of wisdom. There is a wise quote that states, "Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem." All problems are temporary since one can always find ways to make them easier to deal with or even use the energy to channel into something productive. Joseph could have found solace attending support groups with other people facing the same issues. That way he would have known he was not alone, would have had people he could relate to, and could have saw there was hope in his situation in a support group. He would have heard a way to deal with his issue from others who have already been through it or even currently going through it. He would have heard from speakers who overcame similar issues, and he would have had a group of people he could have more easily opened up to, work with, and built supportive relationships and understanding with, since they were all a reflection of the same issue that caused the struggle that eventually led to his demise.